Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are on Sporcle doing a United States topological map. So, for anyone who doesn't know, this is a map of the United States. There's only one way to properly name each of these shapes that lines up with the United States. We have Florida named for us, that's all we know. I don't think we needed that information to complete this, but it does help. And without further ado, we're going to jump in, and I think you guys will get it as we play. Also, for any OGs who've been on the channel a while, you might remember I did a European version of this. So, check that out if you haven't seen it yet. That being said, we start with Oklahoma. So, we know only two states border Florida. That'll be Georgia and Bama. Georgia borders North Carolina and South Carolina, which is sandwiched in there. And all of these states border Tennessee. So then if this is Tennessee and this little one here next to Florida is Alabama, that would make this Mississippi, which would make this Louisiana and Arkansas, which kicks this to be Texas, and this being Oklahoma. So there's a lot of convoluted reasoning here, but once you get into it, it does make a little bit of sense. Michigan. So yet again, if this is Tennessee, well, actually, I think it might be a little easier to work from here. So this is Maine, because it only borders one other state, and then that's New Hampshire. This is going to be, well, it doesn't matter what these are, because this New York here borders everything and separates New England from the rest of the country. So going along the northern border of the United States, it would be New York, Pennsylvania. Ooh, is that Ohio? It must be, because Pennsylvania and Michigan don't border. And they must be ignoring the Upper Peninsula here. Well, no, they can't ignore it. They must just be ignoring that it's disconnected. So that's Michigan. And right back with another tricky one. Okay, so yet again, we know this is New York, and we know this is North Carolina. If this is New York, it's going to be Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Which New Jersey? Does New Jersey border Maryland? You know what? I don't think it does. What would border New Jersey then? Is that Delaware and then Maryland? Okay, I'm happy with that. Connecticut, we should be able to figure out. Maine, New Hampshire. It's going to be Vermont, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. So that must be Rhode Island. And then Missouri. So these early ones are going to take us a long time to figure out. Like, we're already down to 7 minutes. But once we have most of them filled in, it'll be really quick. So Missouri, we're back up here. Florida, Tennessee. The only other state that borders that many is Missouri, which I think is right here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 borders, so that is Missouri. Mississippi, Alabama, Mississippi, easy enough. Same with Louisiana. Alaska's all lonesome up here by itself. We've got Maine back here. And Ohio. Well, no. We already knew that, because Ohio separates Michigan and Pennsylvania. And then New York separates New England. So, like I said, the more you do here, the easier it is to fill in. I also think Oregon is going to be easy, because it has to be one of these two. Idaho and Oregon separating Washington from the rest of the country. So it makes sense that Oregon would be southern. Illinois, that's going to be this one, I believe, because it does not border Ohio, but it borders Indiana and then Missouri, so this should be Illinois, which borders Wisconsin, which also borders Michigan from the Upper Peninsula, which would make this, what, Minnesota? Okay, Arizona, so we have Oregon, this is going to be California, Nevada, so this should be Arizona. We also have Four Corners here going on. So that's going to be Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico. Wow, I'm drawing a blank. Idaho fits in here with Oregon. Then Virginia, south of Maryland. Well, not south, but in the map here, south of Maryland. And then that would make West Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. That makes sense. Delaware is New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. And New Jersey, perfect. Tennessee, we've had that one figured out for a while here. Oh, sorry guys. Had to click off on my battery saver mode. Where were we? North Dakota. So Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin. That makes sense. Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, Virginia. That's Kentucky. New Hampshire. So New Hampshire only borders Maine. Well, no. Maine only borders New Hampshire, the other way around. Pennsylvania, we have worked out between New York and Ohio. Hawaii, all by its lonesome down south. Nevada borders Idaho, Oregon, California, and Arizona. Arizona and Nevada both border Utah. Georgia is, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. Alabama, the other side of Florida. We've got Wyoming. So Wyoming borders Idaho, Utah, and South Dakota, so that makes sense. South Carolina is cornered off. So is Washington. Minnesota is left between Wisconsin and North Dakota. And it looks like it touches South Dakota too. Iowa. Iowa's going to have to border Illinois, Minnesota, South Dakota, so that makes sense. California's the gap over here. Massachusetts, so we know this is Rhode Island, so this has to be Massachusetts. We have Montana, South Dakota. Indiana fills the gap between Ohio, Illinois, and Michigan. Kansas is the southern of the two, Kansas and Nebraska. Oklahoma, Missouri. Yep, that's Kansas. North Carolina fills in yet another gap. So does Nebraska. Colorado's left. Vermont's going to be north of Massachusetts. New Mexico, Texas, West Virginia, Rhode Island, Arkansas, and we're going to finish things off with Florida. Let me know how you guys did on this quiz. As always, the link will be in the description. And if you enjoy these kind of videos, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.